This is Northport Now, where we bring you everything happening in and around our city. From a new high school to hurricane prep to city commission highlights, here's what you need to know. The City of Northport is building its budget for fiscal year 2026-27, and now is your chance to get involved. Which city services and priorities are most important to you? Take our online survey at northportfl.gov/budget hub. We ask residents to show us how they would spend $100 between the city's 7 strategic pillars. That feedback is collected and provided to the city leadership and city commissioners prior to their budget workshops, which will be held in June and are open to the public. You can also join us for a budget input eat and greet on Tuesday, May 12th at 6 p.m. at the Morgan Family Community Center. You'll have a chance to meet with each city department and learn more about its budget and priorities. We'll also have local restaurants providing free bites to eat, plus a kids zone so you can bring your whole family. We hope to see you there. City officials and staff from Northport Fire Rescue took a behind-the-scenes tour of Wellen Park High School this week. Sarasota County Schools will open its newest high school right here in Northport this August. The 81-acre Wellen Park High campus includes a 3-story academic building that will be home to hands-on STEM labs, arts programs, a student coffee shop, and more. Academic offerings will include both the Cambridge ACE program, which allows students to earn college credit with a specialized diploma, and the SOAR Research Institute, a STEM magnet program. The school's comprehensive athletic complex features a synthetic turf football field, a 9-lane running track, and multiple courts and fields for various sports. To learn more about the school and read a list of frequently asked questions, visit sarasotacountyschools.net. The start of Atlantic hurricane season is right around the corner on June 1st. To help everyone be prepared, the city recently held its annual Hurricane Expo. Hundreds of Northport residents joined our community partners, city departments, and local vendors for educational presentations, resources, and great conversations about how to keep your home and family safe. If you missed the event, don't worry, we've got you covered. Just visit northportfl.gov/alerts to find preparedness tips, resources, links to sign up for emergency notifications, and more. Every storm season is different, and now is the time to make sure you're prepared. Did you know April is National Volunteer Month? There are lots of ways to get involved and give back to your community. Northport has dozens of community organizations that are always in need of volunteers. Many of them will be at our next Newcomer Day event on Saturday, May 2nd from 10 a.m. to noon at the George Mullen Activity Center. You can stop by to learn more about volunteer opportunities and find one that's right for you. The Northport Police Department and the city's Parks and Rec and Social Services teams are also looking for volunteers. Find out more at northportfl.gov/volunteer. It's time for more commission meeting highlights, where City Manager Jerome Fletcher takes us through the latest City Commission decisions and what they mean for the public. Here to tell us more about the Commission's April 21st meeting is City Manager Fletcher. Jerome, thanks for being here.
Hey, good morning, Jason. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So last night you provided an update to the commissioners on a plan for borrowing and paying for some needed capital improvement projects, something we've been talking about with the Commission. Can you fill the listeners in on that conversation?
Absolutely. So last night's presentation was a supplement to the April 7th conversation, where we talked about and the Commission voted on staff moving forward in order to see if we could borrow for some projects that we need in the city. A small amount of money so that we can have some judicial clarity with the courts to say, yes, the way your charter reads, where it says conflicting information, that you can borrow using the leverage and the credibility and the experience of the city, versus you can borrow, but you can't use certain types of borrowing financing tools. It specifically says that you can't use general obligation bonds, revenue bonds. So our goal is to get that clarity from the court so that we can show the public that we can borrow and do it responsibly by making sure that whatever you decide at this lower scale, which in this example is about $35 million, that you can pay for it within yourself without increasing the burden to taxpayers. So that's the goal of the project, because not being able to borrow right now and having $500 million in needs over the next years is not a good scenario, because the climate of the country and the city and the county is not going to lend itself for anyone to think that the economy is going to improve enough for us to be able to raise their millage increase. It's just not going to happen. So we have to come up with a plan. And last night's discussion regarding it was really just for me to clarify some of the missing and loose points from that first April 7th meeting. What it turned into was a conversation from my perspective of some of our commissioners not understanding that there has to be a plan to take care of ourselves. It's not going to magically just happen. We have to be proactive and have a vision for this city that is long lasting. And while we are going through the current pain points of today, they can't be the sole focus of why we don't try for tomorrow and the next day. That's our obligation. That's the job we signed up for. And to sit at this point and say, since our referendums failed last May, which was almost a year ago, and to say that, I have only negative comments about the plan that you're presenting me, I don't think that's fair unless you have a better plan. And not to belabor the point, no commissioner has thought more about this than I have. And the commissioners who were dissenting last night, neither one of those two commissioners have ever come in my office and said, hey, this is a problem we need to figure out and solve for. Not once in a year. So yes, I am thinking of a plan. And yes, I am trying the best I can to make sure that we are sustainable for the future. And it is not going to be easy. And we have very limited choices, but we have to all be on the same page that the outcome is to take care of the city. If we can't agree on the outcome, we're never going to get there together.
And I know there's going to be a lot more conversation with the commission and public discussion and some community engagement around this coming up. So
yeah, absolutely. Because the community has a voice in this process. They don't have control in this process over what they can choose with the projects. That's why they elected their 5 officials, so that they can talk to them, relay their information to them, and then those 5 people that they trust to vote for will then make the best decision for the city going forward. That's how our form of government works. And that's why we have elections, and that's why the elected officials give directions to the staff, and that's what we execute on.
Another discussion topic at the meeting was the mandatory water connections. I heard a lot from some property owners. Just for the backstory, there were about 450 property owners in Northport who recently got a letter that said they had to connect to city water. How did that update and discussion go with the commission, and where do things stand now after the meeting?
The first thing we had to do was apologize for how it was communicated and rolled out this time. My office, my staff, my team, we created a memo, and through utilities created a memo that came to my office, and it was dated mid-March or late March, but it didn't go out to the commission. Once it gets all the proper signatures, it's normally routed back to the commission. And if that had been done properly, one of them most likely would have flagged it and said, hey, wait a minute, let's have a conversation about this, because I wasn't here when the prior direction was given to the city staff to move forward. It wasn't an example of where we needed city commission approval to move forward. It was the right thing to do, because that's how you communicate to people who weren't here when it was approved before, or people who haven't thought about it in a very long time. So that was on me. That was on me in the breakdown, and I'll own that. But even owning that does not remove the obligation of the situation of what we're talking about. The shall hookup language is in our code from 1992. It is not new. So that means it's been done over the course of time. In 2022, in October, which was, roughly less than a month after Hurricane Ian, it was voted on to continue the implementation plan, but it was also paused due to recognizing that we were in that state of emergency from Ian. That state of emergency from Ian lasted for nearly 3 years, and it just ended a few months ago. So when the state of emergency ended, we went back to saying, okay, well, let's get back on this. And even in the information from the meeting from October of 2022, it was listed in the agenda item that the price would be, roughly $15,000. We're still less than that $15,000 right now. And that was approved unanimously, 5-0, for us to move forward as a staff. So we began to move back forward. So we sent the letter out to our community and informed them of that. And they were informed of the same conditions that had already been previously approved. So knowing now that we're in the situation that we're in with the war and the economy and gas and everything else, the commission's point is, well, we need to talk about this to make sure if we still want to do this right now. And that is their prerogative and their choice, and we will execute on what their choices are. So now they had the opportunity last night to talk about, well, they want to waive the administration fee. They want to look at reducing the line extension fee. They may want to reduce the capacity fee. They may want to reduce the meter fee, which is fine, because the $12,000 approximately that we're being asked them to pay for this project is higher than a similar project, which is a sewer expansion project, which is not to be confused with the water hookup project, which is the sewer project is only $5,000. So some of the commission feel like, well, they need to be comparable in price, although they're not the same project. So we had a study that was done in 2022, which led to the prices that you're seeing being discussed now. It was not just made up from our team. An expert gave us the direction so that we could be financially responsible. But if we want to change those numbers have consequences when you change them. So now what we're going to do is go back and we're going to listen to what they told us last night. We're going to show them the impacts of their reductions and give them some options on what they want to do and how they want to move forward with the community to make sure that they don't put an undue burden on them while still hopefully maintaining the city and its infrastructure going forward.
Thank you for that update. And I know the utilities department really encourages people, if they still have any questions about the sewer, about water, about what's to come for their property, to please reach out to them. They can answer your questions. So we encourage people to do that. And the commission also did a 6-month performance evaluation of our city attorney, Michael Fuino, who got lots of high marks from the commissioners. Of course, the city attorney is one of the 3 charter officers here that the city commission hires and manages. That's along with you, the city manager, the city clerk, and the city attorney. So what is your relationship, I'm curious, with your fellow charter officer, the city attorney, Fuino? What's it been like, and what has he brought to the city in the 6 months that he's been here?
My charter brother, Mr. Fuino, I haven't known him as long as my charter sister, Ms. Faust. But, I have to apologize to him as well. His item came on the heels of the prior item, and which was a little longer and a little bit, higher energy than I think any of us had expected, certainly myself. So I apologize to him for that. But he has been here for 6 months, and, he has been great to work with. He has been very open. He's been very straightforward. I think that his review of some of our code and practices has been enlightening to some things that we've done for a long time. And his effort in reviewing our information and helping to guide us is always from the standpoint of, this is my interpretation and this is what I think is best. So when he says that, he's trying to make sure that he covers us as a city so that we cannot end up in any trouble that he does not support. So we're in the process now of hearing those revisions and then sort of having different conversations and discussions to see if we can find that ground. And I think some of it's going to be, our code needs to be changed. It's old. It needs to be changed. And he's seen newer codes or newer language. And I think that I need to make sure that I have the responsibility that our team is not unduly burdened by, the law as we do our job, while making sure that I listen to him and he keeps us all safe and, on the right side of legal outcomes. So I'm very grateful for him. I think he's a great guy. I'm so glad to have him here. He has gone through a lot in the 6 months that he's been here. We do not have all the time for me to tell you everything that he's gone through. So, but I'm grateful for his guidance. I'm grateful for him being here. And I think he's doing an awesome job.
All right. Jerome, we really appreciate it. Thank you for the update, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate
and
it.
You can visit northportfl.gov/meetings to view the agendas for upcoming meetings or watch videos of any meeting that you missed. We'll be bringing you more highlights after the next commission meeting later this month. Thanks for tuning in to Northport Now. Be sure to check out the show notes for links and more details on everything we covered today. Have a great week, Northport, and don't forget to stay informed, stay engaged, and stay connected.